vicious spiral of negatives such as falling profits, or companies experiencing falling profits. Yeah. How about closing factories? Is that happening? How about shrinking employment and incomes? How about increasing defaults on loans? Has that been in the news? How about defaults on loans by companies and individuals? How about countermeasures by the Federal Reserve to fight deflation? Have we seen them use monetary policy to increase the money supply and deliberately induce rising prices, causing inflation in some instances? Have rising prices been discovered by you when you go shopping? When you go to buy eggs or anything like that? Well, business school would argue that rising prices provide an essential lubricant for any sustained recovery because businesses increase profits and take some of the depressive pressure off wages and debtors of every kind. Are you seeing that? I'm not. It's not happening. So what's happening right now is you're watching things implode. As I've been talking to you, you're looking at a chart of the Dow. Okay, this is the Dow right here. What do you see happening with the Dow? This is the long-term moving average right here. I told you the other day that if we closed below this long-term moving average, that traditionally speaking, money managers, mutual funds, long-term investors, that's when they get out of the market. It's time to get out and take profit. It looks like we're going to close well below that today. Okay? The trend line is at 10,442.82 and we're at 10,239. So what does that say? Unless there's some type of intervention by the PPT this evening, that's where we are. Now remember what I also told you. Okay, when you look at Goldman Sachs, I said weeks ago that Goldman Sachs, I told you back up in here, I told you, go back and look at the videos for April the 14th and April the 13th and April the 12th. Go back and look at those videos. And even on April the 15th, go back and listen to those videos and see what I told you. Check out the VULCAN report for those days on Goldman Sachs and see what I told you. I said that the Goldman Sachs is leading the stock market. When it broke its long-term trend line and closed below it and started the new bear market, I could say, it was only a matter of time before the Dow followed suit, right? Well, here's Goldman Sachs well into decline. I don't care what you want to call it and say, well, you know, they've been in the news and lawsuits and all that. That's irrelevant. The bottom line is, here are prices. Okay, even if that were true, and that Goldman Sachs is in a bear market now because of the federal probes and SEC and all that stuff, what does that have to do with the Dow and the NASDAQ? And what does that have to do with the euro and the dollar and bonds and gold and silver? Absolutely nothing. Goldman Sachs is just a bank holding company, Wall Street, whatever you want to call it, part of the PPT. So why does this one company dictate what happens to the rest of the world? It doesn't. The truth of the matter is the market was already in the stages of decline. Could you have caught that just by looking at random technical indicators that come with most charting packages and software programs? Nah. So it's telling you that it is a little bit more deeper than that. There's a lot more to this than that. Hence Pandora's little black box. Pandora's little black box is many things to different people. It has a lot of different facets to it. The first facet is fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis is not just predicated on watching Bloomberg and CNBC and listening to the talking heads. Fundamental analysis goes beyond looking at balance sheets and looking at if a company, hit, missed, or just met its profit targets and all that stuff. It goes beyond looking at 10K reports and looking at the managers of companies and looking at that. It goes way beyond that. Like I said, when I mentioned econometric modeling, it goes deeper than that too. You see, you have to understand what makes the market work and why the market does what it does. At the end of the day, the stock market is nothing but a bunch of people all over the world buying and selling. One person buys a stock because they hope it's going to go up in price. Well, another person sells a stock because they think it's going to go down in price. It's just that simple. Buyers and sellers. But we've come to a crossroad now where there's other things going on. There are other forces behind the scenes that are making things happen on a global scale. The situation in Europe right now, or what's happening with the euro, is just one of those cause and effect scenarios. You have to understand the markets, and in order to understand the markets, you got to understand a little bit of history too, and understand who the participants in the markets are. And there's an adage about following the smart money, follow the money. But that's what we've been attempting to do with the VULCAN report, is to follow the money, to show you where the buying and selling pressures are and where those inflection points are, so that you can get in and out of the market at profit. Now, those of you who've been following me, you've been able to put two and two together and follow the VULCAN report and look at the very simple analysis that we do. It's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be, even though it can be, but we try to put this stuff together so that you can understand. I strongly urge you to go to the blog and take a look at the research. The purpose of the blog is not just a place to store the videos and to store the commentaries, but it's also a place where I store all of the pertinent articles from all over the internet, all over the world, that have to do with the stock market and finance and economics. There are hundreds of amazing websites and blogs out there, and I scour them daily, and I post a lot of those articles on my blog. Unfortunately, we live in very perilous times, and some of the websites and posts and stuff are hacked and under tremendous attack. So they may post something and then the next day the article is gone and you can't find it. That's why I post them on my blog, so that if websites are taken down or whatever, at least we have a log of it on my blog, so you can go back and you can look at some of these articles and stuff. So it's pretty neat. Another thing too is with the YouTube videos, unfortunately a lot of them are under attack too. There have been a lot of people that have had their channels deleted and their videos taken down and stuff. So what I try to do, or attempt to do, is to download as many of them as I can so I can re-upload them later or pass them on to people. So the info war is on, and like I said, I'm going to try to give this to you as much as I can, the best way I can. But moving on to the next part, I'll save it for the next video because this one's going quite long. I want to explain to you why you need to prepare for not economic collapse. That's going to happen anyway. But you need to prepare for false flags. You need to prepare for the possibility of a major world war predicated on a national emergency terrorist attack on the scale of maybe a nuclear detonation in a major city such as DC or New York. You need to prepare for that. And the reason why you should prepare for that is because the media has been telling you to prepare for that. Before they do something majorly big, they always prepare you first. We're going to get into that into the next video.